Really, the highlight of this match, I guess, was Charlotte's wardrobe choice. All the fans that have sent her friendship bracelets over the years, she has put those friendship bracelets into her wardrobe. So she looks like a human croc with all those like charm. Kind of think they're gonna do like a Rusev is gonna help him win, and then they're gonna be a stable type deal. Kind of seems like they're gonna do that, and then the crux of their friendship or team up is that Rusev is going to get a title match, and then Paige is going to keep finding a way to out of it until finally it's a payoff of Rusev getting his title match. That'd be a good way to get Rusev over too, like get him actually connected with the crowd because they don't seem to care about him right now. There was really no finish here. The brass knuckles was it.
Well,
as it should have been.
Yeah.
Getting hit with brass knuckles would certainly be the end of the match. Like I said, it was a pretty good match from the men's side. Becky and Sol, they didn't really have a match, so there's that. And then the women's tag team match can only do so much with that because of who's in it. But I guess it gives them something to do.
Well, moving on, you're going to tell us about Saturday night's main event.
Saturday night's main event. And sorry, I didn't write down where we were. I think it's in Indiana somewhere. And we start the show off with Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss versus Jade Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin, the baddies. Really, the highlight of this match, I guess, was Charlotte's wardrobe choice. Her wardrobe, as Michael Cole told us, was made of all the fans that have sent her friendship bracelets over the years. She has put those friendship bracelets into her wardrobe. So she looks like a human croc with all those like charm shits in it. That was pretty much the highlight of the match. Also, the bottoms were like, I don't know, they were like a really bikini cut. So basically, her pants were falling off the whole match.
Charlotte's was?
Yeah.
Was she adjusting them?
She adjusted, but at one point, Mia Yim did a Styles Clash and then rolled her over and did a pin. And basically, Charlotte's pants were below the cheeks. And it didn't get blacked out either. So,
Did you see that Uzi?
no, she had panties on. So, no oos was shown. But yeah, that was the story of the match. Is those pants were just not staying up. And it was a pretty good match. Whatever, entertaining match. End of the match, there was a moment where Charlotte and Rhea were in the ring and they were about to shake hands and bury whatever beef they had. And I think it was Michin. She ran into the ring. Charlotte Flair pushes Rhea aside. She hits Michin. And now Rhea really has the respect for her. So they're about to shake hands. And then the same thing happens with B-Fab. She runs into the ring. Rhea does the save. And then they do stereo Samoan drops. And then finally, they shake hands. And that's the story of this match is they've now like completely buried the hatchet. Alexa Bliss, she jumps in the middle and there's like a three-way hug. Rhea Ripley, who just got out of a storyline with EO, by the way, the same kind of story. So they do this three-way hug. And then, by the way, the match is still going on, I should say. And as they're doing this, Jade Cargill comes up from behind. She hits Rhea Ripley into Charlotte and Alexa. So she knocks them both out. Pump kicks to Rhea. Jaded. 1, 2, 3. Jade and the baddies win the match off of that. But again, Charlotte and Rhea, they've become best friends now, I guess. So that's the important part of the story.
I guess so.
Yeah, they're heading into this Jade versus Rhea match in Italy. So giving Jade the win here, obviously that means she's probably not winning in Italy. So
she was never going to win in Italy.
Yes,
unless she wins like via DQ or something.
Yeah, but this seals it. Now she's really not winning.
Right.
We go to our walkers. And it basically shows everybody walking, the tag team champions, the Street Profits. We get Soul, Ruka, and Big Time Bex because they have a match coming up. And Penta. He's out there with the crowd and he's signing autographs. There's this kid wearing a Jay Uso Yeet shirt, and Penta signed it. So I don't know. I just thought that was funny that he signed someone else's shirt. Like, if you're gonna do it, at least sign your own shirt
or a pair of tits.
Yeah, unsolicited too. But those are walkers. Then we go to a interview, and the interview is with Ethan Page. He's talking up his Intercontinental match tonight. He basically says that he's gonna win. This is the biggest night of Penta's career because he's going to lose to Ethan Page. It's the biggest night for the Intercontinental title because it's gonna come home to Ethan Page. And it's the biggest night for Kathy Kelly because she gets to interview Ethan Page before making those said big nights. So that was his part. They did do an interview for pretty much everybody, so it was good that they did that. And there's video packages. And what I haven't said yet is a commercial because we haven't had one yet.
I like the idea of the interview before the match.
Yeah, they're sprinkled in. This show, yeah, it flowed pretty good for it to be a Saturday night's main event. But I was getting kind of concerned when there wasn't a commercial yet. And then it made sense here. Because next up we had Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruca. Again, before the match, Sol Ruca and Becky Lynch each got an interview, each saying how they were about to win. And we get to the match. It is introduced that Jessica Carr is the referee. That's something to note because Becky Lynch has this ongoing story where Jessica Carr keeps screwing her over in her matches. So that's the story there. It wasn't much of a match. I would say it was about like a minute or 2 minutes of Sol Ruca getting a flurry of offense on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch kind of never got out of the starting gate. And Sol Ruca, she goes for her Soul Snatcher. And this again is like 2 minutes into the match. She goes for the Soul Snatcher. Becky Lynch, she pulls Jessica Carr in the way. So Jessica Carr takes the Soul Snatcher instead of Becky Lynch. Well, kind of takes the Soul Snatcher. It wasn't really a Soul Snatcher. She didn't do the flip part. She kind of like stopped herself, but still hit Jessica Carr. I don't know how to best describe it. It just looked kind of weird anyway. But they did that, and Jessica Carr called for the bell, so it was a DQ. And that's why there was no commercials yet, because this match was like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so after the match, after we learned that it was a DQ and Sol Ruca is now the winner, Becky Lynch attacks Sol Ruca and hits her with 3 manhandle slams, and she walks off with her title. Yeah, that's it for that. So then now we get our commercials and stuff. So now it's a regular show again. Our third match is, and I'm not going to talk about the commercials. It's whatever. Before the match, we get Penta in an interview. Obviously, it's a response to what Ethan Page said earlier. And of course, Penta is going to win his match, is the takeaway there. So they did this Intercontinental title like hype video thing where they basically talked about the importance of the lineage of the Intercontinental title, and it showed like all the people who has once held it and how it's basically a stepping stone to the main event. So you had the Warrior, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect, Triple H, Stone Cold. They didn't have the Honky Tonk Man, but I think he's on bad terms, isn't he?
Who knows with him?
Yeah, they didn't have him, but they just had a bunch of previous Intercontinental champions, Bret Hart, British Bulldog. But it did lead me to a question. If you think Intercontinental champion, who's the first person you think of?
Razor Ramon.
All right, me too. He was the first person I think of, and then like immediately after I think of the Ultimate Warrior, just because of him having that yellow title and the title versus title match he did with Hogan.
See, I would have said Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels is also no, I probably more think of him as with the world title.
Yeah. or the European title.
Yeah, he did hold that for a long time.
I just remember the match he had with Triple H, that ludicrous match.
Yeah, when they were getting that European title over.
It was cool what they did though, because Slaughter put them in a match, and then it seemed like Michaels and Triple H were arguing because it was like, because we all know who would really win. Yeah, me. And then what?
Yeah.
And then when the match finally happened at the main event, it was a farce. That's a swerve.
Yeah. But yeah, they did the little hype package for the Intercontinental title, so good little touch there. For some reason, I haven't written down that they go to the Club WWE commercial after this. I don't know why I have this written down, but here we are. So Club WWE, they kind of been hyping this thing up. They kind of did more of a explanation of what it is. It's basically a Costco membership. Basically, you're paying them money to be able to pay them to buy stuff from them. Like, oh, you get early access to tickets that you have to, of course, pay for, and exclusive merchandise that you can't get anywhere else.
That you have to pay for.
That you have to pay for. Yeah, it's not like, oh, pay for this membership and we'll send you like the Loot Crate where we'll send you free stuff every. No, this is just you pay for access to pay for stuff. So that's what it is. But I did have that there. By the way, Adam Pearce wasn't there. Nick Aldis was. So we learned from Nick Aldis that Becky Lynch will be defending her title at Clash in Paris against Sol Ruca because of what happened in their match.
Oh boy.
That takes us into a Lash Legend and Nia Jax interview where, of course, they said they're going to be winning the tag team titles, and they're still on this thing about Paige and Brie being a nostalgia act, which I believe Paige is younger than Nia Jax, which I found that kind of funny.
Right.
Because Paige started at like 18, so I think she's like 30.
Nia Jax has been around forever.
Yeah, she was there with them. The little Divas era. She was with them. Oh, I don't know if she was around for the Divas title, but I know she was around for the TV show because she was on one of the seasons. But yeah, so they're going to win the titles later. Which leads us into our next match, finally. We have Penta versus Ethan Page. This is for the Intercontinental title. Michael Cole let us know that there's been 17 title defenses for the Intercontinental title on Saturday night's main event, and only once has it changed hands, and that was in 1992. Shawn Michaels beat the British Bulldog.
Oh.
So 17-1 are title defenses for the IC title here. And go ahead and make that 18-1 because Penta wins. It was a decent match. Basically, the ending of the match here was Penta, he went for a Mexican destroyer. Page countered it. They struggled to the top rope to where Page does kind of like a second rope power slam that got a near 2 fall count on Penta. Page, besides himself, decides then to go pull off one of the turnbuckle pads. The ref catches him doing it, so the ref then goes over to put the pad back on. So then Page goes to the other turnbuckle, takes that pad off. Then he rams Penta into the exposed turnbuckle. That gets a 2 count.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was a near fall. It was believable that this was about to be the finish, but it wasn't. He goes to ram Penta into the exposed pad again. Penta reverses it, throws him into the exposed turnbuckle, and then Penta hits him with a Mexican destroyer, and this was enough for the win. So Penta retains his title off of the Mexican destroyer. And Page, I think that's his first loss on the main roster. I think ultimately he will win the title, but I guess I'll be waiting until SummerSlam, maybe. I was kind of surprised that Rusev didn't show up because I kind of think they're going to do like a Rusev is going to help him win and then they're going to be a stable type deal. But that's just my guess.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we'll see if they go there.
Yeah, kind of seems like they're going to do that, and then the crux of their friendship or team up is that Rusev is going to get a title match, and then Paige is going to keep finding a way to out of it until finally it's a payoff of Rusev getting his title match. That'd be a good way to get Rusev over too, like get him actually connected with the crowd, because they don't seem to care about him right now.
They sure don't.
Just sad because he's a good wrestler,
Yeah.
believable, and yeah, you can't be going out there losing to John Vaughn Evans though. I tell you that.
Didn't he already do that?
Yes. Next up, we have an interview. Paige and Nikki Bella. They're doing their backstage interview where, of course, they're going to retain their titles. The whole thing about them is none of this was supposed to happen. Brie was supposed to be teaming with Nikki, and they were supposed to be champions. Paige took over because Nikki got hurt, so this is basically a Cinderella run for them. I don't know who's going to turn on who, but someone's going to turn. After that, we get a Street Profits interview. Of course, the Street Profits are up and they want the smoke. The smoke being the tag team championships. Our next match, though, is Paige and Brie versus Nikki and Lash Legend, the Irresistible Forces. This for the women's tag team championships. And just to skip to the end here. So Paige, she rolls up Nia Jax, and Brie used her feet to leverage Paige to hold Nia down, and that was the end of it. Not really too much more to say about that match. So we will go on to the next match, and it's. I mean, really, there was nothing to say about that match. The Vision versus the Street Profits, and this is going to be for the tag team championships. Also, this is the main event as well. But before we get the actual match, they did the same thing they did with the Intercontinental Champion, but this time with the Tag Team Championships, talking about the hype video. So they do this hype video. This time they show us teams like the Dudleys, the Natural Disasters, the Steiners, talking about in WWE, the Hardys, the Shield, and Harlem Heat. And yes,
Okay.
the Harlem Heat. I see how they try to slip that in there.
Was Big T there?
No, it was Stevie and Booker. And I don't even know if Stevie made it to WWE ever.
No, I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, it's like, look at them trying to sneak in the WCW stuff. Like it's their legacy.
Well, technically it is. They bought it.
They did, but
I know what you're saying.
yeah. They may have put the Usos over it. There were so many teams in there, I didn't get them all, but I know the New Day wasn't there. They only had one black team, and that was Harlem Heat.
So they had to use a team that's not even part of it.
Yeah. It is also funny that here they are trying to gas up the tag team titles like they're so important when they just laid off their whole tag team division. So I thought that was also funny.
Yeah, no shit.
Still before the match, we have Heyman. He does the interview for the Vision. Of course, the Vision is going to retain the titles.
I forgot they were champions.
Yeah, they're champions. So this ended up being a pretty fun match, all in all. I'll say the two men's matches were pretty dang good. The trios match was pretty good too. Soul and Becky, they didn't really have a match, and then Paige was there, so that's positive. Anyway, we have our main event here, and again, it was a pretty fun match. At the beginning of the match, the crowd was really onto Logan Paul with the Fire Logan Paul stuff. They had signs, and they had like a picture of Logan Paul, which I think is from the music video that Hendry did. So they were really on to him on that. And there was a point at the match where the Vision, they were going to do the take the count out and lose the match on purpose thing. The Street Profits, they ran them down, threw them back in the ring. There was a near fall off of a blockbuster from the Street Profits, and we go to the end here where the Street Profits, they're outside the ring, and out of nowhere is Braun Breaker to help his Vision buddies. So he starts to gain a head of steam to do his spear. And as he gets around the corner, Montez Ford does a leapfrog over him. And then Angelo Dawkins hits him with a pounce. And this pounce, he hits him. Breaker clears the announce table and lands in Michael Cole's chair. And it's a great looking spot. And basically, this is taking Braun Breaker out of the match. So the Street Profits, they get back in the ring. They hit the Sky High onto Austin Theory. They hit the Frog Splash. And they get a very close 2 count because Paul Heyman put Austin Theory's leg on the ropes. So as they're continuing the match here, Montez Ford was going to go for a dive onto Logan Paul to the outside, and Logan Paul caught him with the brass knucks. He rolls Ford back into the ring, and that was the end of the match. He hit him with the brass knucks, and then Dawkins went out to fight Logan Paul, but there was really no finish here. The brass knuckles was it. There's no finisher move here. That was it.
Well,
As it should have been.
Yeah.
Getting hit with brass knuckles would certainly be the end of the match. So yeah, that was the 1, 2, 3. So the Vision wins. They end the show by walking up the ramp, holding up the titles. You get the little graphic comes up, produced by Triple H. Then all of a sudden, as they're walking up the ramp, Breaker, he decides to turn back around. He runs down the ramp, gets in the ring. He spears Dawkins, and then he spears Montez Ford. And then we go really off the air with the Vision in the ring holding the titles up. And that was the end of the night. Like I said, it was a pretty good match from the men's side. Becky and Soul, they didn't really have a match, so there's that. And then the women's tag team match can only do so much with that because of who's in it. But I guess it gives them something to do. And I think they already have their next challengers. I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
We'll all be on pins and needles for that one.
Yeah, like I said, it gives them something to do. They did bring Brie back to be champion. That was the plan. But it is going to be interesting, I guess, to see what happens when Nikki comes back and if they're going to turn on Paige or if Paige is going to turn on them or what's the dynamic going to be there if they're still champions. So it'll be interesting.
Brie's going to turn on Nikki, and then they're going to have a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam dream match. Because, we all been clamoring for a Nikki Brie face off.
It was good when they did it when Nikki joined the Authority, at least storyline wise. I don't remember the match part of it, but the story was good.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened in the match at all, but I remember the story because it was like, oh my God, Nikki turned on her sister, her twin sister, which is only something Vince McMahon wouldn't do. I was also thinking, outside of like the later years, so like all tag teams are brothers, like Harlem Heat, they were brothers. The Steiners, they were brothers.
Well, that's a perfect tag team.
Yeah. The Smoking Guns, weren't they supposed to be brothers?
Bert and Billy Gunn.
Yeah, they were brothers. It was like the perfect tag team combination was to be brothers.
Nation of Domination were brothers.
They were. Even with Owen Hart there, he was the biggest brother of them all. Of course, they had to have a token. He was actually a good addition to it, though.
He was a good addition to anything.
Yeah. I watched, I think it was King of the Ring. It was Owen Hart versus the 1, 2, 3 kid. It's actually a pretty damn good match.
Obviously. I bet.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I wasn't big on the 1, 2, 3 kid. Of course, I got into him when he, became X-Pac, but
I like the 1-2-3 Kid.
Honestly, the only thing I remembered from him was beating Razor Ramon. Like, that's the only thing I remembered from him.
I knew he did the moonsault,
Yeah.
which at the time that was an innovative move.
Yeah, he did the moonsault, but yeah, the only match I remember of him was beating Razor Ramon. But yeah, apparently the match I watched, he was against Owen Hart, and it was a barn burner. That's just a random King of the Ring qualifier match.
Right.
Wasn't even like a pay-per-view. Like, if we could get that quality now. Although there was some good wrestling tonight, like I said, outside of the 1-2 matches, and one being not a match, and then the other was just your participants. Everything else was pretty good wrestling.
Good stuff. Good stuff.